I am a Protestant, and I went to a Catholic Bible study for months. Here's what I learned. Well, hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. It is so good to have you here today. Seriously, thanks so much for watching this video. And I just want to say that today's video is a video I'm really excited about. It's a conversation that I think needs to be had. And we've been talking a lot in the past couple weeks on this channel about race and racism, along with the rest of our culture. And these conversations are incredibly important. I hope you're continuing to have them around your dinner tables, at work, if you're back to work yet, or wherever you find yourself, because they're conversations that are really so important. But along that same line, I want to continue talking about unity in the church, in one area specifically that I think often has been very disunified, and that is relationships between Catholics and Protestants. And about a year or two ago, I went to a Catholic Bible study for months, and I want to tell you a little bit of the story of why I did that, as well as what I learned from doing that, and hopefully you can learn something too from it. So a couple years ago, I got a call from my uncle, and to give you a little backstory, he is someone that I've always been really close to, and I'd been praying for him for years that he would come to faith. And through some crazy events in his life, he began looking for God and investing in his relationship with God, but that led him to the Catholic Church. But I'd always wanted to see him come to faith, so when he called me one day asking if I would go to a Bible study of all things with him, of course my answer was yes. Then he told me it was at 5:30 in the morning at a Catholic church. But in any case, it didn't matter. I said, absolutely, I will be there to support you in this journey. And so there I went. And if you're curious what exactly this study was, we were doing a pre-made study with a huge group of guys that all gathered at 5:30 in the morning at this church to go through a study called That Man Is You. And it's specifically more geared towards like fathers and husbands. It's a men's group, but that wasn't really the important thing for it. For me, it was about going there to support him. But through that whole process, I began to learn a lot, to recognize some of my own prejudices against Catholicism, and really just get to see for myself what a Catholic Bible study looked like. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you a couple things I learned. The first thing that I learned is that it's not fair to judge Catholics based on nominal Catholics. There is a big difference between practicing Catholics and nominal Catholics. And it's important to recognize this because Catholicism is huge. And if you look at the spread of Catholicism, a lot of it was done on a somewhat superficial level that dates back all the way to like colonialism, and even farther back than that when it like became part of the Roman Empire. Not a day for a history lesson. But the important thing about that is you have to recognize that there are a lot of people who claim the title Catholic, but really don't fall under Catholic teachings. And I really don't think it would be fair to judge Catholicism as a whole based on some of its weakest members who really aren't representing the faith well. And I have to admit that as a Protestant, I had done this often, and that I see this being done a lot, that we as Protestants create these Catholic caricatures that really, when we look into them, just aren't fair at all, that all Catholics never read their Bible and they don't care about the Bible. Like, it's just not true and it's not helpful. So I think as Protestants, the first thing is like, let's recognize this bias, because when I went there, I realized that here are men waking up at ungodly hours of the morning to come to this Bible study before work to really invest in their relationship with God. And I'm not trying to make them a representative sample for all of Catholicism either, but I think what we need to recognize is being Catholic doesn't mean that you're somehow just someone who shows up on Christmas and Easter, and that's like, that by definition within the Catholic Church isn't a practicing Catholic. So let's give Catholics a more fair evaluation. And that was something I really walked away from this, recognizing that, man, these are some really godly men who are really doing their best to grow as husbands, fathers, and followers of Jesus. And that was humbling to me. That was surprising to me. And it really helped me grow a lot in what my view of what Catholicism is. The second thing that I learned from my time at this Catholic Bible study is that Catholic Bible study isn't an oxymoron. And it's kind of laughable to say, but in some ways, I guess I would have thought that it is a bit of an oxymoron. Like, Catholics don't study the Bible. Every Protestant knows that. But that's not true. And again, it's not helpful. If we're going to talk about Catholicism, let's do it on fair terms. And through this Bible study, I recognize okay, these are guys who want to know the Bible. And yes, they may approach it different than I am. Not saying that's not insignificant. But what I'm saying is, it's not fair to say that Catholics don't read the Bible. They do. Proper Catholicism incorporates the Bible in a very meaningful way, not just giving lip service to it. And I think we need to recognize that there are Catholics who really love the Bible, who are great Bible scholars. And though they may put a different value on tradition than we do, that doesn't mean that they've somehow just thrown the Bible out. And again, I think as we talk about Catholicism as Protestants, as we paint a picture of what a Catholic is in our head, we shouldn't paint a picture that somehow excludes the Bible entirely, because that's just not good Catholicism and isn't fair criticism from us. And honestly, the third thing that I learned from it is that I'm still a Protestant. I had a wonderful time at this Bible study, besides having to go there at 5:30 in the morning. But I really did have a wonderful time with these guys, as I was surrounded by people who really wanted to grow and wanted to be better husbands, fathers, and followers of Jesus. But in spite of all of that, I realized that I'm still a Protestant, and I'm not insecure about that. And even as I go through church history classes at Moody, and I study church history on my own, and I listen to Catholic podcasters and YouTubers, which I enjoy doing, I'm still comfortable being a Protestant. John Henry Newman once said that to be deep in church history is to cease to be a Protestant. And I just don't think that's true. And I know Catholics might disagree with me on that, and I welcome that disagreement. Let's have those conversations. But throughout all of it, there were things that I said, I'm on board with this, and I'm not on board with that. The time would start with a prayer to God, and then these video messages, and they were great, and they'd unpack scripture. And then it would end with a prayer to Mary, and I was like, I can't really join in with that. And as I delve deeper into Catholic teachings, there's things that I say, these are actually pretty biblical. These aren't crazy, which is crazy that I would have thought that they'd all be crazy. That's not fair, and I'm recognizing and laying out my bias for you there. But I've also, the more I've dug into it, also seen hey, there's a lot of remnants of medieval theology that just aren't that great here. And again, I am not a Catholic scholar, and I'm not here to debate all of Catholicism, and I'm sure there's smart Catholics who could probably make me look bad in a debate, like Trent Horn. His videos are great, and I don't want to say that I can debate every Catholic. But I do want to say that throughout this whole experience, I realized that I am still deeply a Protestant, and there are differences between Protestants and Catholics, and they're not insignificant. But at the same time, let's look at those differences for what they truly are, rather than the caricatures that we create that make the differences even bigger than they really are. Let's focus on the real issues, not just these trumped up issues that we make up and the storylines we accept about one another. Let's sit down, Protestant and Catholic, and engage in helpful dialogue. And that's my challenge to you, walking away from this video and in this time when our nation is talking about racial reconciliation, and as we have difficult conversations about segregation in the church, what if we talked about church unity as well? And what if we talked about the things that divide us, but also the things that unite us? And I want to challenge you, get to know some practicing Catholics and ask them what they really believe, and see if it's a little less crazy than you might have thought. Chances are it isn't quite what you pictured, and that's probably for the best. And realize what the real differences are, and look at those and be able to say, truth isn't relative. One of us is right and one of us is wrong. But realize that there can still be dialogue. We can still work together. Jesus's picture of the church was a united church. Even the reformers, their ultimate vision was that one day the church would come back into union with one another, and that the church would once again be united. But a few hundred years later, it doesn't seem like that's much more than a pipe dream, that the schisms are too deep, and perhaps they are. But I think all of us, deep down, should desire unity in the church on a deep and meaningful level. And if we're going to take anything looking like a baby step towards being more united as a Christian church as a whole. We need to have these conversations with people we disagree with. Learn to hear their voice. Learn to hear where they're coming from. Learn to recognize your own biases and put aside the caricatures you've created, and then really get a real glimpse of what these people believe. Not just what you say they believe, but like, what do these actual people, like Sally, like Rob, like people you actually meet, skin and blood, what do they believe? And what is the true teaching of the church? And is it different than you've been told in your church? Is it different than you've been told by Protestant friends? I really want to encourage you, have meaningful dialogue, have respectful dialogue, disagree, learn your own position better, but don't do so just to go out and debate, but do so to understand and to learn what it is that is true, because we shouldn't be scared of the truth. We should pursue that. And so I really want to encourage you to go out from this video. So in conclusion, I want to encourage you to pursue unity with the same passion that Jesus and Paul did. Not setting aside truth, not saying it's all relative, but seeing people as people and getting to know them and their story and what they believe. This is my story of going to a Catholic Bible study and learning a lot about Catholicism and maybe even more about myself and my own biases. It was a fantastic experience, and I'm so glad that I did it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Truly, that means so much to me. If you want to see more conversations like this, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new to this channel, I just want to say welcome to you. This is Gospel Simplicity, a place where you're passionate about the beautiful simplicity and transformative power of the gospel, the good news about Jesus. And we truly believe that the message of Jesus is good news for a hurting and broken world. For all of you that have already subscribed and have been liking these videos and commenting and sharing them with your friends that you think would enjoy them, you're the best. Seriously, I can't thank you guys enough. Until next time, be sure to be on the lookout for more videos, and as always, go out and love God and love others, because truly, above all else, that will change the world. Peace. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next time.